Thank you, Chair. Assistant Secretary, Chair, members of the QQI Board, colleagues and guests. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to QQI's first biennial conference, Leading and Learning in a Changing Landscape. Following our successful post-COVID-19 conference in November 2022, we committed to hosting a conference on a key strategic theme embracing quality and qualifications every 2 years. Today's conference also coincides with the publication of QQI's new Statement of Strategy 2025-27, looking after learner interests. This statement will guide the work of QQI over the next 3 years. The holding of today's conference is a key part of QQI delivering on 2 of the 5 key priorities outlined in our new Statement of Strategy, that of deepening national and international partnerships and sharing valuable system-wide insights, research and analysis with key stakeholders. A further priority identified in our new Statement of Strategy relates to the National Framework of Qualifications. The Irish NFQ is one of the oldest qualifications frameworks in the world, having been established in 2003. Since its establishment, the framework has become firmly embedded and its attendant levels and qualifications have become a key part of our national educational lexicon. While the landscape of Irish tertiary education has changed considerably since 2003, the NFQ has remained relatively unchanged. This is testimony to the founders of the framework's foresight in, for instance, including small, minor, supplemental and special purpose awards in the NFQ from its establishment. This has facilitated the stacking of minor awards into a major award and the unbundling of major awards into new micro-credentials, and that has been made much easier and more acceptable within a national qualifications framework, more so than in comparison to other frameworks internationally. Other changes that have happened over the course of that time, however, have put more strain on the framework, and QQI is committed, over the course of this strategy, to fulfilling our statutory responsibility to promote, maintain, implement, further develop and review the operation of the framework as a system for the development, recognition and award of qualifications in Ireland. Although the Irish NFQ has been referenced twice against the 2 main European qualifications meta frameworks since its establishment, the placement of the major awards in the framework has never been reviewed or revised. Over the course of the past 2 years, I've visited and met with the senior leadership of all of our education and training boards, universities, technological universities and institutes of technology. And I'm convinced that there is an appetite to move to a single major award at level 6 in the NFQ. The existence of 2 separate major awards at level 6 is a legacy of having separate awarding bodies for further and higher education at the time of the framework's establishment. QQI believes that the maintenance of separate major awards is now a hindrance to achieving the national ambition of a more integrated tertiary education system. As part of our commitment to the further development of the NFQ, next month QQI will issue 2 green papers for consultation and discussion, one in the area of access, transfer and progression, and another on the development of intermediate qualifications at NFQ levels 5 and 6. We look forward to extensive consultation and discussion with the education sector in moving these green papers onto the development of QQI policy in both of these important areas. QQI has a wide remit across the entire post-secondary tertiary education space, and the programme for today's conference certainly reflects that remit. The statutory responsibility we have in the area of contract cheating that was bestowed on us through our amending legislation in 2019 has naturally led us into the area of academic integrity and more recently into the world of generative artificial intelligence. The experience of the COVID-19 pandemic, the sudden, unplanned, overnight move to online learning generated many challenges for tertiary education, particularly in the area of assessment, as we had to question how to assess with integrity without the historic guardrails of invigilated closed-book examinations. As a response to this challenge and to commemorate QQI's 10th anniversary back in 2022, we held a competition to award bursaries to educators to research and analyse the area of assessment. I'm delighted that we have presentations from our universities, technological universities and private higher educations throughout today's conference from 8 of the bursary awardees. I'd particularly like to pay tribute to Roisin Morris-Drennan of the Research and Innovation Division in QQI, who has been working with the project leads on these QQI-funded research projects over the past 2 years. In 2019, following on from the responsibilities in relation to academic integrity given to QQI in our amending legislation, and thankfully in advance of the COVID-19 pandemic, we established NAIN, the National Academic Integrity Network, a truly national network of public and private tertiary education and training providers, along with the support of student representatives. Later today, we will hear from our international speakers and from NAIN about the current threats to and the evolving culture of academic integrity. The theme of today's conference is Leading and Learning in a Changing Landscape. 2 significant changes in the education landscape over the past decade have been the establishment of 5 new technological universities, formed by the merger of 12 former institutes of technology, and the creation of 16 education and training boards from the 33 vocational education committees and the former FOSS training centres. Later today, we will hear about what it is like to lead and learn in this changed education landscape from senior leaders from the technological university and education and training board sector. From my experience of global education, I'm always struck by a feature of European education that most distinguishes us from our counterparts in other continents, and that is the active engagement of students in academic governance and quality assurance. QQI and our colleagues in the Higher Education Authority and the Union of Students in Ireland have, since its establishment in 2016, supported NSTEP, the National Student Engagement Programme. We will have an opportunity later today to hear about how institutions are fostering student engagement and responding to changing student behaviours. QQI's mission, as outlined in our new statement of strategy that we are launching today, commits us to a vision of Ireland where learners can have their confidence that their qualifications and learning will be valued nationally and internationally. Human mobility is a growing part of our global experience, whether that is voluntary movement by learners seeking to broaden their life experience through studying and working elsewhere, or involuntary movement from those fleeing famine, war or persecution. For many of those global migrants, the recognition of their qualifications and their prior learning is key to allowing them to successfully contribute to their own advancement and to the life, culture and economy of their new destination. We will conclude our conference today with a presentation from QQI colleagues on the vehicles in place to recognise qualifications and prior learning across borders. I would like to use the occasion of this conference to pay a particular tribute to our departing Head of Quality Assurance in the QQI Awards Directorate, Walter Balfe, who will be retiring from QQI next month. Many of you will know that Walter was key to the ability of QQI providers to be able to pivot to online learning during COVID-19, to the ability of QQI providers to now offer blended and fully online programmes to learners, to the streamlined approach to the national rollout by the Education and Training Boards of micro-qualifications in new areas such as green skills and sustainability, funded by Solis' Skills to Advance programmes. During the pandemic, Walter was also key in assisting private higher education providers to offer new micro-credentials derived from existing QQI major awards to learners. He also oversaw to completion the re-engagement process with all legacy FET and private HE providers. I wish Walter the best in his retirement, where he has vowed to spend more time outdoors and less time looking at screens. I would like to finish today by thanking all our participants, our invited speakers from home and abroad, our partneries from the tertiary education and training sectors, our fellow education agencies and the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science. I would also like to pay a tribute to my colleagues in the Partnership Division in QQI, who've been responsible for the organisation of today's event. Grania, Alison, Duncan and Adele, and in particular to the head of the division, Laura Flynn, who's been the driving force behind this conference. Laura developed the theme for the conference and has put together a wonderful array of speakers and presentations that cover the gamut of QQI's work across the tertiary education sector. As part of the conference, we will be using the Slido facility rather than roving mics to manage the questions to presenters. If you scan the QR code on the back of your name tag, you'll be able to ask questions during the various sessions of the day. I'll now hand you back to Irene. Thank you very much.